saveecigs.co.uk, sponsors of the Haze Hour.
Yes, we're giggling here. Timon's gone all to cock. You can tell the boss is not with us tonight. Timon's gone all to cock. Never mind. We're here. Hey, hello, Sav.
Hello, Dave.
Right, now, for everybody that's watching live, recorded or whatever, I've got Sav with us tonight. Can't make it for very, very good reasons. And she knows where my thoughts are. So Sav, the ever loveliness. I'm not going to even do that tonight because that's a Thursday or Wednesday, Thursday. So here we have me offsider, my right hand woman. And there's all kinds of other phrases of what you are as well as in the radio. Go on,
yeah, but we're not allowed to say them on it.
Make one up for yourself. Go on, I dare you.
Oh no, I can't. Put me on the spot and I'm not allowed to swear.
Well, I just wanted you to come up with something. I mean, it doesn't have to be, you know.
Nah.
Whoops. How did that happen?
How did what happen?
I don't know. It says Dave on one thing and not on the other.
Right.
Oh, it's confusing me.
Not far. Hard far?
No.
Oh, what you mean?
Hey, what you been on?
It's this damn water. It's bad for you.
Oh, hey, you shouldn't drink. You never ever drink water. Do you not know what fish is doing it?
I know, it's disgusting.
It's disgusting habit drinking that stuff. Definitely is. I'll have none of this healthy malarkey.
It's terrible.
Yes. What?
I don't know.
I'm just trying. It says we're off here. Right-handed woman.
Right-handed woman. I am.
Kat's
I'm right-handed.
And Kat says Namor was the one that's left. She's not.
No.
She's not left.
No, she's far
She's
from
the
left.
boss.
Yeah,
If she would use the whip in the left hand, it might be a little bit less uncomfortable.
She needs that for the cattle.
Cat nine tails. Dearie me. Apparently Lal's hoping to win a cat and nine tails at Vape Fest.
Oh, I didn't know it was any of them.
Well, over the last few programmes, I'm beginning to believe that Leanna Lawless is not as innocent as she would like to make out, frankly.
No.
Anyway, look, tonight, packed show. Packed with features show for you all tonight. Last week I said I would do it tonight, and I'm going to do. I have in front of me, even as we speak. You'll recognise the innards of the doodah there, the what's its name, thingamabob, thingamajigam. You can see that's there, all down here, all this kind of stuff. That's the inside of the Ithaka. I told you to remind me what it was called.
I forgot.
So that's going to get. I've already made a joint in me wires, so that's going to get a dual micro coil. And tried it out earlier today and it's lush. So that we're going to be doing. We've got some Vido, courtesy of Mr. Sutton from Welsh Wales, isn't it? Wasn't it, Megan Bronwen? And it's fabulous. This is the director's cut. It's like what you get on DVDs. That's 9 minutes of loveliness that I cannot bear to deny you, so we'll be having that. And then I made a purchase from China because there was a whole load of people had been buying these things, and I'd been hearing good things, and I thought I need to see for myself. And I'll tell you about if assuming we have time, we'll get round to that later on, and you'll hear why I'm not a very happy bunny. So now you know, and that'll all be after the tittles. Now I can play these really loud tonight, can't I?
Yes.
You get the fingers ready. Here we go. You know how to do this, don't you?
I do.
So it's hello, good evening, and welcome to the Haze Hour.co.uk. Damn, it's too short.
It is.
Need it longer than that.
Yeah, need double the length of them titles.
Get your hair down, wig out, stuff like that, yes.
Definitely.
I was reading chat. Kizzy says, rock on DD, get in. Absolutely. Leanna Lawless says, China is a lottery that's about to ban smoking in public. A lottery?
I wouldn't want to win that prize.
First prize is not good at all on that
No.
one. No, definitely not.
Uh-uh.
Has a Gary walked in?
I think a Gary's walked in.
Miss Debris?
I think it's the Gary. Yes, it's the Gary Dibley.
Sam, because I'm swapping with Gary later on this week. Just so everybody knows, Sav and I'll be back on Wednesday, but might be a little bit late because I'm going across to Person-Chester tomorrow. See how politically correct I am there? Staying overnight and then travelling back late Wednesday, so I might just be a tad late, but I shall be back because Gary's got very important things to do and we don't want to stop him from doing them because he's very important. And it's very important that he does these important things, the importance of which cannot be overestimated or over-enhanced or even overhyped. It's that important. How important is it?
It's really, really important.
Apparently so. So we're moving. See, that's how, there you go. Yes, love you too, Gary. says, love you, Dave. Can you say that? That was Gary, that.
Do suck up.
Love you, Dave. Suck up. Dearie me. Hey, hasn't it been a quick couple of weeks?
It has.
The Wales thing's going loopy, isn't it?
Ah, that's getting really interesting, isn't it?
Do you
And
know
the
what-
Welsh guys are doing an awesome job.
They're absolutely right, they are. The funny thing about it, where I was Thursday and Friday, which we're not going to talk about too much tonight, we might be able to get that together for Wednesday, because there might be some audio available by then, some of which I would like you to hear. Got talking to all kinds of people, and every time I mentioned Mark Drakeford's name, and bear in mind, these are some of the top people in tobacco control and smoking cessation and public health. They all went, who? Who's he? Like, it's like, he's the health minister in Wales. Is he? Oh. So, threatening what? What did he say?
Yeah, there is a request for an Australian accent,
I
Dave.
don't do those, Blair. Can't do those. Name's not Simon Chapman. I can't speak Australian. I'll just drag my ass up the dunny, get bitten by a spider. It wasn't particularly nice. I haven't so much got a belly end as a balloon end now. There you go, that's your lot.
Oh, we're going to get so wrong off camera.
I know. Yes, apparently Gary's going to a wood turning thing and John Not Matt said, hope there's a good turnout. Shall we talk about... Oh dear me. Right, back to Wales, yes.
Yes.
So apparently there's nobody that anybody knows who this douchebag Drakeford is. Not a clue. He's in this video that Mr. Sutton has done, which is going to be swaffified. It will be available for your watching on YouTube Delights as of 10 o'clock. It will be released then, but we have the scoop. We have it here for you. I'm going to play it in now. Enjoy.
The Welsh Assembly have put through proposals to ban the use of all electronic cigarettes in enclosed public spaces, and they're planning to spread that to open public places as well. And as a vaper, I think that's completely ridiculous.
We know that smoking rates in Wales remain stubbornly high, but I'm not convinced, Minister, that waging war on e-cigarettes is the way to addressing those high smoking rates. Many people owe their freedom from nicotine addiction to e-cigarettes. Many people use them on the road to stopping that awful addiction of smoking.
E-cigs save lives! Scrap the white paper!
Well, the reason I've come here today is that this is the first country in the UK that has proposed banning it. If it is passed in Wales, it will then be easier to ban it. So I think it's important to try and put a stake in the ground now.
Sending these people to the smoking shelter in order to enjoy an e-cigarette is potentially putting them in temptation's way, leading them back to a habit they're trying to kick, and exposing them to the harmful effects of second-hand smoke. Will you accept, Minister, that there are some concerns which have been expressed by those people who've used e-cigarettes as a means of quitting smoking? And what action will you take to ensure that you properly engage with those people during the consultation phase on this white paper?
We've invited a couple of the Assembly members here to have a chat with us, including the Minister of Health, Mark Drakeford. Unfortunately, he is unavailable for comment.
The use of e-cigarettes in enclosed public places should be brought in line with the rules and the laws that govern the use of conventional cigarettes. No more than that.
Well, he can't be any kind of an intellectual as far as I'm concerned, because an intellectual would have looked at the evidence and said there isn't any evidence to do this. I can only assume that it's some sort of ideology that he's got, or that he has some people behind him pushing him to make him do that. It seems so unreasonable to me that anybody would want to do it, that it's difficult to get behind the guy's mind.
I think governments always need to tread very carefully when they start banning things and telling people how to live their lives. And there is no evidence at all to suggest that using e-cigarettes is harmful to those people around you, and therefore the arguments that apply to traditional tobacco simply don't apply in this case, and we could lose an opportunity of actually switching people from tobacco products, which we know are harmful, do kill people, onto a product that potentially could cut the number of tobacco associated deaths in this country.
Anybody trying to vape at work, they'll have to go out with the smokers. They'll probably end up being tempted to have a cigarette.
They are using anti-smoking legislation to penalise people who have given up tobacco. It's like they've completely switched their own legislation on the head and go, oh, people are becoming healthy, but not through the way we thought they would. It's just nuts.
For 30 years in this country, we have fought a battle to persuade members of the public that smoking is not a glamorous occupation and it's not something to take up as though it was something to be celebrated, and we've succeeded in that. And e-cigarettes, I think the danger is that they re-normalise smoking and lead us backwards rather than forwards.
We have a problem here in Wales with smoking rates. They're stubbornly high. But instead of taking an approach which encourages people to reduce harm to themselves by supporting access to things like vaping, and when you look at the facts, there's simply no evidence to support a ban on e-cigarettes in enclosed public spaces. In fact, quite the opposite. All of the evidence points to the fact that there are significant harm reduction benefits to individuals' health, and frankly, this suggestion that the Welsh Labour government keep putting forward that this is a route into smoking just isn't there.
We are anxious that it is a gateway product. For young people in particular, it is something that you start with an e-cigarette and you end up with a real cigarette.
The only thing that possibly might be a gateway to smoking is having bans in enclosed public spaces. That's going to send people that are trying to give up smoking back to smoking. You have to consider the people that are just trying vaping. Now, it took me a month from trying my first e-cigarette to switching over to vaping entirely. In that intervening stage, maybe things like this would have meant I didn't make the switch.
What we do know is that nicotine in itself is not a harmful substance. It's everything else that goes into a traditional cigarette that causes the health problems in Wales. And if we can see from the evidence that many traditional cigarette smokers are using e-cigarettes as a way to actually stop using traditional tobacco products, and if we can get them to make that switch, actually the public health gains could be huge, and I'm just really worried that those could be jeopardised by the Welsh Government bringing in this ban.
Vaping is expanding. I can't keep track on the number of vaping shops in Wales at the moment. Imagine if all of them had the proposals in place. They would be like, hey, we can't do this, we can't make money this way. Therefore they shut down and people don't get access to their supplies. I don't know what Mark Drakeford is thinking outside his political thing, but he's definitely ploughing the political line from Europe But everyone else in the Welsh Assembly, like the Welsh Lib Dems and the Welsh Conservatives, and even Plaid Cymru, have gone, "You're talking rubbish, Mark."
I think it's really disappointing. I think the motivation largely is that they think that the evil tobacco industry is behind e-cigarettes. They perceive the tobacco industry as being just wanting to ply its trade in another way in terms of being able to sell nicotine. And therefore they've taken this stance against them. But frankly, you know, if the tobacco industry is becoming a more responsible industry, I think that's only a good thing. E-cigarettes are something we should celebrate and embrace more in Wales if it means that people are going to be smoking less. And frankly, that's where all the evidence points, and I really can't understand why the Welsh Government have launched this war on e-cigs.
It's not a matter of doubt about it, it's a matter of pure facts. And if you look at the facts, then you can only come to one conclusion, that banning it in public places would be a bad idea.
Just have a little bit of common sense and think like a certain other minister that we've actually had time with, and a proper conversation, rather than just, this is what I think on your behalf. And I think more ministers should do such things rather than try and push upon us what they're doing in their lives and all the good they're doing for us without asking us a thing.
Politicians like me were swayed by evidence, we're swayed by the voices of our constituents. And when the evidence points in one direction, when our constituents are pointing in one direction, it helps us to make sensible laws. And the laws which are being proposed, the suggestions which are being brought forward in Wales at the moment, simply aren't the sort of thing that I want to see. They're not the things that my constituents want to see. And I just think that the Labour government have got them wrong.
These guys have been through 18 months of political uncertainty. What would your message to vapers be going forward?
Keep on campaigning. Sometimes governments use the tactic of wearing people down until their capacity and their resilience to keep campaigning is lessened. Keep on campaigning and keep using the evidence, because it's clear to me, as things currently stand, the evidence is all on the side on not banning e-cigarettes, and there is no evidence that the people who want to introduce the ban have got. So keep using the facts and the evidence to prove your point and to keep going. Don't let governments wear you down.
Yes, vape on, vape hard, and don't let governments wear you down. That's lovely, that is. What did you make of that, Sav?
It's brilliant, absolutely brilliant. There were so many people on that video speaking sense, and the odd one or two speaking not sense.
Yes, quite. Now, while just at the end of that, the Fury's Fury 79 said, "I'm fairly certain steam shouldn't set off smoke alarms. Does some?"
Certain types it can affect you.
And this is about the only time Mr. Glanz ever gets it right. To a particulate detector, little droplets of steam look like little particle things, and it mistakes them. It gets.
A spider set my smoke alarm off, so ban them as well.
How did it do that?
Crawled across the sensor.
Okay. Crawled across the sensor.
Yeah, inside the smoke alarm, and it crawled that way, and then it crawled back the other way and set it off twice, and then it fell out, probably deaf.
I'm not surprised.
So, yeah, I'll ban them too, please.
Right, now, somebody was asking, had that been out on the telly? I'm sorry, it scrolled off. And Smoke to Vape, that would be Andy Sutton, the man who put all of that together, says the ITV crew footage goes out in July. July. That's brilliant, that. You can see them there with their cameras doing it all, dead professional in blue raincoats on the cameras, which is, I think it's a bit much myself, but, you know.
It is a bit.
The only way to find out, because Fury's back on about alarms, is this for in an aircraft?
If it is, don't ask Daz.
Oh, do share the story.
Oh, Dad tries to stealth vape, and he's sitting above the aircon, and every time he opens his mouth, it sucked the vapour out. Hysterical. You never thought to switch it off.
I don't think you can. The aircon's on all the time.
The little ones above your head.
Oh,
I think
the
you
squirty
can...
stream.
Yeah.
There's an answer to that, actually.
There is.
Lung it.
Oh.
If you lung it, I'll get the whistler out. If you lung it, it stays in. See? Then you can stealth it a bit.
A bit.
Yeah. Well, a bit. I mean, apparently Miles Dolphin says Vader sets off hotel alarms. He set off his own hotels. Some of them. Not all of them.
They had a problem with that at one of the big vape meets in the States, didn't they?
Yes.
That all the hotel alarms were getting set off.
Well, didn't Dave and Dave Kitson and a whole load of other people set a whole load of alarms off at a vape meet somewhere?
I think so, yes.
Yes. Oh,
So
well.
yes, some can be a bit sensitive.
Aha. Very Boring's asked, so will Daz be getting picked up for smuggling controlled substances at the Thailand airport like a traditional Brit tourist? Of course it'll be Nicky gets caught with, but you'll have to have a cavity search.
I'm not going there.
No. The worst thing you can hear is that when the gloves go.
We should probably start the Free the Daz fund already.
Already?
Yeah.
Somebody, Rob Teffy's mentioned it'll be carrots. Be carrot juice, that's what it is. They'll be milking the carrot a lot over there, I would imagine.
Yeah, I can imagine. I really wish I couldn't, but I can.
Let's go to the adverts and then we don't have to. Be back in a couple of ticks, don't go anywhere.
Sav4Six.co.uk sponsors of the Haze Hour. Sav4Six sponsors of the Haze Hour.
Yes, no, aye. Kat's in there. She's in there, and Threthny, it looks as though Threthny's going to get... You're a lucky lad. He's a lucky lad. Will be if he's still walking about time she's finished with him. She's lovely. She's lovely.
She is.
Yes. Cat and Sav have swapped places tonight.
I have.
It's every man's dream. Every man's dream. Shall we do this recoil?
Aye.
Right. New technology tonight, he said, wondering which camera he should be looking at. You'll be able to see it though, Sav. I think it's set up. Here we go. Right. I'll move that out of the way because that's the central part of the Ithaka, which I have spent a lot of time making sure that the centre contact, this piece here, there's metal, and you've just got a little, I don't know how well you'll be able to see it, but there's just a little black washer there between this castellated part and the screw thread that this black bit here goes onto. That catches the negative thread, if you like, the negative wire. And if you get that slightly off, you get a short. So all the way through all of this build, it will be time for the pluke.
Yay!
So what will be happening will be as follows. The pluke will go on in ohmage mode, and we'll be checking in the first place to make sure that that is open circuit. And the way you do that, if I try and get it here, I just need to hold it with a contact on the outside of the casing, as you can see, and touch there. Right, now, so you can see there's no beep, there's no change, no nothing, that's fine. But if I touch there, yeah, so we have complete open circuit, that's solid. So now in safety we can begin. And in all honesty, for doing this, you probably do need to have some kind of ohms checker that doesn't need a 510 to screw it in. Now, prior to the show, I did this. I have joined together in a Y fashion one piece of resistance wire and one piece of no resistance wire, and you'll be able to tell the difference between the two because the no resistance is just slightly shinier and it's the bit that isn't like a pair of bull's horns. So I'm going to wind it onto a white hypodermic needle, which I had. Here it is. Now the white hypodermic needle has a specific diameter, and I know exactly how many turns I need to put round here because I want to end up at a resistance of around 1.5 ohms. So the construction of this happens quite simply. And you've got to work out roughly where the positive is going to be, because that's where you're going to start coiling. And then tell us if I come out of shot, Sav, whatever you do.
Will do.
Right, so we start the coil and we want it in tight, and I want 10 tight turns round here. That's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and I let go of the wire there, 10. Right, and then you can use the base of the needle to push those turns tight. You want them as tight as you can get them. You want them as close together as you can get them. Now if you can be bothered, if you could be asked, you could put some heat over those. So that's the first of the two coils. Then you do exactly the same with the other half of the Y, and you're going to need about 35 to 40 centimeters of wire to do this, and you can wind them both in the same direction, or if you want to be really arty-clarty and clever, you needn't, but I'm just winding them in the same direction because I'm not much good at doing it the other way. I've tried, I just cannot manage the other way. Right, so the same again, and this is, I knew I should have done the other side first. Right, I'll just stick that between my fingers there. Right, so keep winding, good and tight, very close together. 10 turns, that's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's the 10th turn. And the same again, I want it pushed down really tight. Is that visible enough?
Yeah.
So it's pushing really down really tight. And I'm just going to leave that like that for the time being. And then off my ball of cutting will, I'm going to pull off a big chunk of this. Now this is the Rico, and I know Hobbycraft have stopped selling it, but this is the Rico Cotton the Summer, I believe it's called, isn't it?
Yeah.
And then you need a little gob of wire, and your little gob of wire goes up through the centre of your coil like that. It's all getting really complicated to watch now, is it?
I'm completely bamboozled.
It's easy. And then just use that like you would thread a needle with a needle threader. I still haven't gotten around to buying that posh one your mum's got, you know. But
I've got loads of them because I do cross stitch.
Ah well, apparently my darling wife has found self-threading needles.
Yes, I find them really frustrating.
Not half as frustrating as I'm finding this.
Yeah, that's frustrating.
The hole's too small, I can't get it in.
It is. You may have to make that hole a bit bigger.
Yeah, let's be careful how we go, shall we? Alrighty, so now I've got it caught in my little bit of wire, and all I'm going to do is pull that back through the coil I made and leave a bit of length on it, because it's all going to get cut to bits anyway. So there we are, that's that, and then you just unthread your little bit of wire, and I shall cut off at the other end the bit I don't need, because I need to do that again. So now I can take me hypodermic out of the other side. It's a bit like rollers, isn't it?
It's a bit like something.
And then do exactly the same again. Now, I think it's a good idea to keep the loop at the same side. That way you know you're working with the negative end all the way when you're putting these things in. You'll see what I mean when we get there.
I agree with Kizzy in chat. It's just that DD's carrying out open heart surgery. That's what it seems like to me as well.
I honestly think that might be a little bit easier. I don't know. Actually, I don't know how those guys do it. Especially not pissed.
I know, it's amazing. It's like
really...
them pilots as well.
Oh, aye.
Brilliant.
Well, I get that.
So talented.
Yep, it's amazing what you can do when you've had a few.
I know.
Just, you know, a couple of brandies to steady your hand. Right.
I cannot even walk down the street.
Well, I have trouble walking and chewing gum at the same time. So, there we are. It would appear I've got 2 coils ready to go. Now, unlike with other atomizers, you can't use the stand here to make it easier, unfortunately. I'll take this off that now because I don't need it on there. You've got to build this in your hand. It's just the way it is. You just actually have got to do it in your hand, and you need to know where the 2 coils are. And this is where it does get a little bit fiddly, but it's why I've set it up the way I have. So, here we go. The negative ends, you'll notice I've got no resistance wire down here. That is 0 no resistance wire, or no 0 resistance wire. And that's because, as you can plainly see there, there's the metal channels. So it's going to catch the negative, the earth, straight away. The other side, of course, has all ceramic, and that's where the positive wire is going to go, which should prevent nasties. Right, so the thing to do is to use the bits of cotton to help you line all this up. And it does get, you've got to do them one at a time, sort of style, and get the coils in place. Pick which channel you're going to put your positive wire down, which I've just done, and then use the wick in the channel to help you position it across, and you can see how that's working out. Alright, they don't want to be right beside each other if you can avoid it, but you do want those wires, the negative wires, down into there. So there we are, look, we've actually managed that. They're slightly offset, but that's no bad thing, because you're going to get more juice coming at one side than the other for each wick, and that's probably not a bad thing. Now we've got to do the clever thing, and that is to get these negative wires wound round the base, and they go in between the metal shell and that bit of black screwy uppy bit, and we want to get the pair of them in like that and trapped, and then you screw that black plastic ring up, and that fastens your negative side in. Is that visible enough?
Yeah.
Right, without doing anything more, you then need to get your positive end sorted out, which means getting rid of these two tails here so you can see what you're doing. And that needs to sit perfectly in that channel down there, and you might need to finagle it a bit. It just depends on how the two coils have sat in. But once that's in there and held down, then you can take it, get in, across, drop this back a bit, good and tight, and you wind that round. And again, you need to make sure that you've got all the gubbins and drobbins out the way. Take it round once or twice, it's entirely up to you. And I would suggest at that point you snip that one, because you want to really get it nicely snugged in. Snip it, and then again just snug that edge down. You don't want that little nubbiny bit to be able to make contact with anything. Right, that's in. And then we can, these you don't have to be quite so precise with. You want them trimmed, but you don't need to be absolutely bang on. Treat it like a big toenail, really. If it's nearly there, it's nearly there. It's good enough because nobody sees it. As long as it doesn't ladder your stockings.
Fair point.
And then you just, as I say, need to make sure that you've got nothing sticking up through there. Now, before you go any further, you want to be checking that for continuity. So it's back to the good old fluke, which if I move it that way, you'll be able to see it in the little picture. So check it out, and this time I will get a signal, and I'll put it right in the middle and then you can see it on the close-up. This time I should actually get a signal. Doesn't matter which way around it goes. 1.3 ohms, ladies and gentlemen. 1.4 ohms, I do apologise. 1.3 to 1.4 ohms, just depends on how hard I'm holding it. Which is pretty much what I was aiming for, yes?
Yeah.
Quite proud of myself. And that comes from knowing your mandrel, as it were. So that's in place. I'm just going to, one last little check that that's down. And then it wants to be held in by the wicks. And this is where you lay the wicks, like dreadlocks, down the channels. And if anybody thinks that this is a clart and a fart and a carry on, it is a bit, but believe me, if the end results are anything like they were this afternoon, it's worth the clart and the fart and the carry on.
I just have to prove to Whip It Up, this is actually live. You'll hear me say that in a second. Well, you'll hear me say it now, but I said it before.
You did.
I know what I meant.
It is actually live, Whip It Up. I couldn't do the pre-record. It is live. Very, very live. Right, now I'm going to try and screw this on. And I can never get it to thread first time. There we go. So this holds everything in place. Or is supposed to. And if you get it right, indeed it does. I've got to say, this Rico cotton's fabulous in it. This is happening in real time. There's no speedy uppy bits, no time lapse, none of that, you know.
And I mean, this was, someone asked for this last week, wasn't it? The dual coil Ithaka?
Yep.
Yeah.
Dual miter coil Ithaka.
Yeah.
Right, that's roughly about where I want to be. Alright. So at this point, it's time to get the skizzers out again and get shot of all of these bits of bits of tail that are hanging. Now you've got to be careful because you have got wire in there. So I don't want to go too far away, and I just want to be sure I've not got anything trapped. So it's just hanging. Just be long enough to wax.
Oh, I just got that out of my mind.
Well, I'm sorry, I've just put it back in for you.
Yeah, thank you very much for that.
You're welcome. Think nothing of it. Don't think much of it myself.
No.
Right. So that's there like that. And I'm just looking. That's going to be fine for the cap going on. That's pretty much where I want it. So now, again, just to check nothing's gone wrong, get the fluke back out. I'm not going to make too much effort to get this on screen. I'm just going to do it. And then you can tell. Come on, thing. Go to ohms, David. 1.4, 1.3. Yeah, we're where I want to be with that. I'm going to put that on my lap because I'll be using it again. So at all the stages now, I'm going to keep on coming back to the fluke and just check everything out. Right, so now this needs to screw into the bottom part of here. And then I want to get the 510 connector base on. And the other thing I need to point out as well, you'll see that little slit there.
Mm-hmm.
That's the automatic juice flow. And I like to do it so that it's over at least one of the wicks, and it'll be over both of them. Alright? So that's going to get screwed in good and tight. And then I'll screw that into the 510 base for it. And there's a reason for doing that, which hopefully will become apparent quite quickly. Get the airflow control open. Right, that all seems to be quite solid. Only thing I've got to do now is just make sure that that is out enough, and it is. And then I need my copper. Any power controlled mod will do. Now I've probably blitzed a bit of my process out here because I would normally have dampened those wicks down by now, but I haven't on this occasion. Moving crap out of the way. Alright, you see those well enough?
Yeah.
Right, I'm going to stick some juice. You can see they're touching. I don't want them to touch. So I'm just moving them slightly so that they're not touching. Try and show you. Yeah?
Yeah.
Doesn't matter that they're close together, I just don't want them touching. And then get some juice on because I'm about to apply some elastic trickery. And of course, if you apply elastic trickery to undampened cotton, we all know what's going to happen.
You have to do all that again.
And look.
Yay, it worked.
We has lift off and no hot spots. And that's at 4.2 volts exactly. So that's what you would get out of an ordinary battery. Alright, and that doesn't look like much at the minute, but just you wait. The next test, and I can do this actually on the copper, is to put the bell and mouthpiece on. And I do this at this point for a number of reasons. One is to find out whether I've got any bits of cotton lying handy that I shouldn't have, and I might well have. And I'm going to need, you can tell I've been using it because I need a cloth. Right, so that's on, and I'm getting, you see?
Yeah.
It's gone up a little bit, 1.5 ohms. Check atomizer, that means that my centre contact's not right. I'll just screw that out a bit. Screw it back in. Just want to give it a try, you see. That's it, I think we have contact. Yeah. That's working quite nicely. So I'll do the rest on the stand. So all we need to do now that all of that's in place is make sure that the chimney and the bell, that was something falling off my desk, are in place.
DT Reptiles actually said, Dave, do you do horizontal rather than crisscross for a reason?
Side by side?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, there's no real need to crisscross them. If you would only crisscross them if you have one above the other. And since there's no need to have one above the other, you do them side by side. That way you get an even heat out of both of them, and they help each other out. If you had one on top of the other, as you discovered with the first eye clears that we ever had, they would occasionally short because the top coil would hit the bottom coil.
Yeah.
And you could end up with all kinds of weird things going on.
Yeah.
Which kind of we don't want. So now I'm going to fill it, and I'm going to fill it with some redwood blend. So here we go. I'm happy that that's not going to leak all over everywhere, so I'll just take it up to the top. That's it. It's full enough. Put the lid on, like so. The thing about this dual coil as well, being the way it is, being that the side by side, you're actually getting the equivalent of having two atomizers in there, which means you can whack the wattage and voltage right up and it'll handle it. So there we go, it is done, as you can see. So I'm going to whack it on the copper and just pull that center contact out a bit, and I'm going to whack it up. I'm going to whack it up as far as the copper will take it, and you'll see. $20 watts. And if I press the button, 5.2 volts.
Very nice.
So, right, take that off, David. There we go. Let's give it a try. Mixture of flavours there. That's working canny. That camera's about 8 feet from me, by the way, zoomed in.
Right, I've got a question then, because I don't understand res no res at all. Could you do? Have you got to use res no res wire in the Ithaka?
Yes.
Why?
Why? Because the distance between where the coil is and where the contact for the coil is on the positive side, the one that goes to the centre pole, is getting on for an inch. And if you had that with resistance wire, that resistance wire would heat up.
Right.
It doesn't have to be coiled for it to heat up. You could heat it up straight. You could zigzag it. But because it's resistance wire, that distance between where the coil is up in the little cup and where it connects, which is right the way down at the bottom of that cup assembly,
right,
that would all heat up, and you don't want that.
Got that. That makes sense. Yeah.
You don't need it on the other side of the cup though,
because it's less distance.
Yeah. Well, yes, it's exactly like a Jenny really. It's not. Yeah. It's not got any distance to go.
Right. Yeah.
Leanna Lawless says gurgly. It is a bit gurgly, and the reason it's gurgly is because I filled it up with juice while I was testing it. But no gurgle now.
We've got a request for your next week's build. And I'll tell you, it comes from Very Boring, so you know you're not in for an easy run. He says, next week, can Dave show us a Clapton coil build for us who have never had a go at one?
Oh, God. I won't promise it for next week, because I did say that next week I was going to try and get hold of it, what I've been calling a typhoon, but apparently is pronounced typhoon.
That's right, you did.
And that was what we said we'd do, but I'll have a go at doing a Clapton coil. The question is, VB, what do you want the Clapton coil in? Or are you going to leave that up to me to get inventive? Because I fancy trying a Clapton in a Jenny with cotton wick.
Could be interesting.
Tell you what, chat will let we know while we're in the adverts. We'll be back in a minute. Don't go anywhere.
Sav and Dave, sponsors of the Haze Hour. Sav and Dave, sponsors of the Haze Hour.
I've come to the conclusion, you know, while I love our chat to death, there's some vicious buggers in there.
Isn't there?
Who was it said dual coil a K-Fun light, it's gone off?
Max Drum.
Gone right off you. Right, add that to the list, Sav.
Will do.
Dual coil and a K-Fun light. I think I know how to do it, and I'll give it a go. I want my head examined.
You do.
But it'll not be too different from what I've just done. The coils will go either side of the decky bit. Right, I want to do this thing. You might have heard me say at the top of the show that I'd heard a whole host about a particular clone that's being sold in China, and I decided to want to have a look at it because everybody was saying it was bang on, it was exactly the same and all the rest, and I'm not sure that it is, I've got to be honest. And here it is, and you can see what it's called. I bought one from China, and I'm here to tell you it's not what you think it is. To begin with, it's definitely not a real DNA 20 that's in there. The reason being, you press a DNA 20, it comes straight on. But if this thing is in, I'm not doing anything for the minute more, I'll try that one again. If it's in, I'm not doing anything for the minute mode, which it'll go into in a second, when you press the button, it does not fire straight away. With the real DNA 20, he said
instant.
come on back to wide, which is what is in my copper. I've got a real DNA 20 in here. You press the button, when it's in, I've just gone to sleep mode, and it's there straight away.
Yeah.
And you can hear that. With this Booty Hannah mod, has it gone to sleep yet? Yes, it has. So back to closey up you can. How do I get there again? Oh yes, there we go. As you can see, it's gone faint, which means it's in, I'm not too sure. And it goes back. And I mean, it gives you a check atomizer in this case, but I'll just clag one on for the sake of clag. There it goes. And nothing. That pressing button, I'll do it again. Oh, it'll work now. Nothing. It's not there, even though it's reading the atomizer and everything. That was the first thing. The second thing is, when I got it, that charging port, which is not very straight now, was loose, and I shall show you why. Indeed, I'm going to take the back off so that everybody can see inside this. And if you know nothing, I mean, I'm hoping Gary Dibley's still in there.
He is, yeah.
I'm sure he'll be typing in then when he sees it.
I know there was one particular viewer that's in at the minute that I had a good long chat about these, because there's a lot of very concerning reports coming out about USB ports having problems and various other problems that have been reported on them that could be potentially quite dangerous.
Well, to begin with, there is nothing. This is quite a clone of an expensive piece of kit. The only thing that's screwed in is the one thing that probably doesn't need to be, which is the earth return. That could have been soldered onto the other end of the battery. It's all held in place with hot glue.
Gary's just screamed in chat.
Right? There's the charging port down here, which was held in with hot glue, and I've had to put super glue on it to get it to stay there. And it's not, at this end, there's nothing sealing it at all. So any errant juice could get in there and God only knows what would happen with it. I know it's not the earth to buy. I do appreciate that. But seriously, I have had to alter this thing in order to make it work. And I don't think anybody should have to, if I'm to be honest. No. I wanted to get it to see whether it was going to be any good. And I wanted to know what all the fuss was about. And I've got to be honest and say, of the two, and they're basically the same sort of thing, but of the two, I know which I would trust the most, and that would be what I've been using to fire off the Ithaka tonight. That would be the copper, because it does just work every time. It's well built, it's using proper evolved stuff, and the final thing as well, as a comparison, there's the button on the copper. I can press that. This bloody awful thing is not meant to be used. Now, watch my fingers, and you know what happens when you get pressure on. Here's the pressure to fire it. And it's only just fired, right? You can see how much pressure that is. Now let me do the same thing with the copper and make it fire. You heard that. That's the difference. It's a proper job. The proper job is much easier to use, much more likely to be reliable. So,
I mean, as you say, for the money you pay for it, you're not going to expect the same quality as, for example, the copper or the actual Hannah mods. But for anything that you buy, you don't want to be buying something that is not safe.
Well, that's the point, isn't it? That absolutely is the point. And I mean, the bottom line on it is, I'll try and get this shot right, wrong shot, that shot there. The point about it is, there are enough people, like those 120, however many it was, decided to get all glancy today and join him in lying to the World Health Organization. There's enough people like that out there would pick up something that didn't do what it said on the tin, the way it's supposed to, and would make hay out of it. And, you know, I'm relatively happy for people to be inspired by great design, as they've done with the Stratocaster, with the Les Paul, and with God knows how many other guitars and cars when it comes to it, and other stuff like that. I'm quite happy for people to be inspired, but for God's sake, if you're going to do it, do the bloody job right, instead of landing us, because we, your customers, don't land us in the clats, don't land us in the crap. And, you know, vendors, if any vendor anywhere is going to take these on, do your homework and check them out. And if you find that you're getting 3 rejects out of 10, bin it.
Yeah, because I'm sure it could be a very, very good mod. Just make sure the quality control is there and just take a little bit extra care.
Yeah, bit more time.
Yeah.
Bit more time.
And don't put the bloody logo on.
That I don't like. That I
Drives
really
me
don't like.
mad.
I had over the years, I think probably 4 or 5 Fender Stratocaster clones. Not one had Fender or Stratocaster on it.
No.
Not one. Really, be inspired by all means, but stop trying to rip people off. That's all I've got to say about that.
Yeah.
Right. Is there much more we need to be covering tonight, Sav? Because I've seen the time is 10 o'clock. Got there really quick.
It did, didn't it?
Yes. It's Kizzy said not only is it crap, but I waited ages to get it. Too bloody right.
Yes.
7 weeks. Nah.
Yeah, and I mean, you know me, everything I use is USB, so I take note of all these things all the time. Everything I've got is USB charged. I've got the cop and I've got the 2 vapor shocks that I'm using at the minute. And the wonderful thing about the copper that beats everything at the minute is Nigel is there if I've got a problem.
Yes.
Whereas Fastech, as much as they try to help, or wherever else you're buying them from in China, as much as they try to help you, to get it sent back is going to be a nightmare. Whereas I can just get out to Nigel and go, Nigel, have I broke it? And he'll go, no, if you do, blah de blah, that'll sort it. And it's like, thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
And it's always me being stupid. Nigel's used to me being stupid now.
Yes. Gillis says he got his in 3 weeks. Well, you see, when I ordered, it didn't say that we didn't have any. And it didn't say that it was going to take them until April or whatever. That turned out not to be the case. 7 weeks. Anyway, what the hell? Never mind. Might be the only place left if certain people get their own way.
Yes.
So I'm not going to be too scathing about it. It might be the only bloody place left.
Exactly.
If we don't pull our fingers out.
Absolutely.
I've got to tell you, the reason I'm at 20 watts is because I'm effectively running 2 coils at 10 watts each here. 1.4 volts, so that's ohms rather, so it's 2.8 coils that are effectively running 10 watts each. And it's really nice. I'm liking it a lot, full of flavour. Know what you're laughing at?
The team are taking the mick out of me.
Why?
Other Chinese shops are available.
I bet that was Andy Sutton.
It was Andy Sutton.
And you?
Yeah.
You can tell a mile away. I know all these punchlines. And I've got one for you, Andy Sutton. You tit.
Yes.
Right, we're not doing that anymore. No, well, that was an old joke way back when we first started.
It was.
It was daring people to say things. Hey, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for joining me tonight, Sav.
It has been fun. It's been great fun. Enjoyed myself and learned something.
Well, that's always good. That's good. I'm pleased that's the case. So if you've got an Ithaka, you know how to dual coil it, which is all good stuff. Tomorrow night, Marco Van Basten will be on as per usual at his usual time of 9 o'clock. God only knows how long he's doing, but however long it is, it'll be good. Tune in, don't miss it. Our German language programme, DE Talk, will also be on Tuesday night, and I'm actually reading off the schedule here, Sav.
Well, you should know on Wednesday it's us.
On Wednesday it's us. Me and Sav will be back with VT Talk this time. I just hope I remember to load the right show, because I sometimes don't. So we'll be back with VT Talk on Wednesday. And then Thursday, Mr. Dibley will be back from the Woodchuckers Turners Ball thing.
Yes, because Dibley said he's been welcomed to the Association of Wood Turners of Great Britain and taking vaping and tip turning on Wednesday. They are a bit gobsmacked that lathes can be used this way. So Gary is bringing vaping to the wood turners.
Well, there you go. So how much wood can a woodchuck chuck if a woodchuck can't chuck wood? It's a big question. Hey, Gary, when you get there, don't forget to tell them when you've shown them how to turn a tube mod and a drip tip. Finish it all off with... Are you going to do it with us, Sav?
What? Sorry, I wasn't listening.
Well, I'm going to say all the thank yous to Sav, to Gary Dibley, to Kat, to everybody on the team, and thank you most of all to you lot for watching. But Gary's going to finish his talk with this. Don't forget, vape on, how is that? Vape hard, and don't let the bastards grind you down. Till we see you next time, take care of each other. Stay lucky, vape on. See you now. Bye.
Sav and Dave, sponsors of the Haze Hour.